Sometimes I travel. Traveling is hard, but now I'm learning to do sandwiches, and I have a Creole roast on my page. I make that Creole roast, slice it up, make raw sandwiches. I make some raw bread, put a little avocado on it. You'll see the sandwiches on my page. It's pretty easy to do. The Creole roast is so simple. I just take flaxseed, grind them all up real good. And then I take what we call Creole seasoning, our onions and bell peppers, garlic, and I parade that in my blender to almost liquid. Add it to the flaxseed, stir it up. I got a roast. Put it in my dehydrator, and wow, there it is.
Good evening, everybody. It is Friday, June 14th, and this evening we have a community member, Joyce Fontenot, who is going to share with us her health journey and give us a cooking demonstration. And you might tell the story about how you also first heard of Dr. Montgomery. You mentioned that when we were warming up. And so if you happen to mention that, that would be great. But I will now hand it over to you, and thank you again so much for sharing your story with us and the cooking demonstration.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joyce Fontenot, and I'm from Lake Charles, Louisiana, via Opelousas, Louisiana. So this whole journey began for me, actually, when I was a tiny little girl, going to church and hearing a preacher he must have been someone that was health conscious, because he preached about the creation, how God created all that. And I was just about 5 years old. I loved falling asleep on the pew, or faking falling asleep on the pew, so my grandmother could carry me to the car, put me in the back on the visor, and I could hear the family talking. But those sermons stayed with me. He talked about the creation. He talked about Genesis. All of that stayed with me. Well, as I grew up. I married young. I married at 19 years old. Left Louisiana with nothing but the little Creole world I knew growing up in that part of the country, and the food style that I grew up with. You all know it. Everybody loves the food when they come here, but it's very unhealthy. And I live in an area that's got lots of plants and all that. So my goal is to try to help everyone how to make food that tastes good, and they can be healthy. So I married a soldier and traveled a lot. Ended up in Germany. Had my first child, a little boy, and he was born allergic to milk. So the little boy grows up with so many allergies. That is what pushed me into looking at food. He was hyperactive, like his mom. I don't know. When he got to school, they started telling me, "Oh, he's hyperactive." I'm like, "What's that?" And then I started reading that some dyes cause it and this and that. So I started cutting that out, cutting all this stuff out. So every time I modified the diet, he got better. So I continued doing that. And then for my own experience, I had gotten an ovarian cyst rupture and was bleeding internally. I had to have an emergency surgery. Oh, what an experience. As that 5-year-old person that used to lay on the church pew, I had witnessed a pig being slaughtered. And when I was laying in the hospital bed suffering, that reel came back. I never knew it was still in my head, but it came back bright red. The sun, I could see the sunshine again, feel the air, and hear the pig screaming for its life. And I was laying there in the bed, praying for my life and feeling the same amount of pain and stuff. So anyway, I ended up having to have an emergency surgery. So I came out of that because I connected to the suffering of that pig. I came out of that. Oh, I'm not actually do that. I can't eat anything that suffered like that. So a lady said, "You're not looking good." And I was like, "Well, I can't eat animals anymore." So she said, "Oh, you're a vegetarian." I was like, "What?" I didn't know anything about a vegetarian. So she said, I have a friend who's a Seventh-day Adventist, and she's a vegetarian. She could help you with this. So she told her friend invited me over. She cooked a vegetarian meal for me. She gave me 3 cookbooks and ran. I was off. I ate the food, felt good, didn't bother me. It was beautiful. I She gave me 3 cookbooks, and I went home and went through those cookbooks. I took all the recipes and I just changed them a little bit to my taste. So that worked, and we did well as a family, traveling around. My son got to be 12 years old, and he comes home. When I started being a vegetarian, I cooked that on Sundays for me. And the rest of the time, I cooked the normal diet for them. But he comes home one day, he's 12 years old. He said, I'm not eating meat anymore. I'm like, what? Why? Because it has worms in it. So I go, well, when Mama cooks her meat, it's well done. So if there's any worms in it, they would be killed. So he said, I'm still not eating it. So I go, why? Because that means I would be eating cooked worms. Couldn't get him to eat the meat, so he became a vegetarian. And then my daughter, who's 3 years younger than him, she became a vegetarian because he did it. So then the 3 of us were vegetarians, and my ex saw the grocery bill go down. And he said, y'all wouldn't eat like that. I'm okay with that. So we became a vegetarian family. And it really helped my son with all those allergies. He had become allergic to so many things. And each time I modified the diet, he got better. So he became my teacher. So in 2016, I rushed over to this this class was given by Alicia Coney. And in the class was a mother-daughter team. The husband had been treated by Dr. Montgomery, and it saved his life. So they were up in Boston in the same class as me, trying to learn how to do raw food and all that. And they told the class about Dr. Montgomery. So write their name down, and I have been following him ever since. Once you start using his food and you survive, and people hear about it, they come to you for help. So I always try to have somebody to refer them to. I sent my best friend to Dr. Montgomery. I always send it depends on geographically where they are, what they're talking about. What you're doing now is going to help you save your life. It's going to help, and you'll be able to help other people. So I survived, and now I'm trying to help everybody. This is where I am now, and I always seek to connect with communities that are raw food or using food as medicine. And I'm in Lake Charles, Louisiana. We have a serious problem with chemical plants and contamination and all that. But on a happy note, last year I turned 75, and I made it down to Dr. Montgomery's restaurant. And I got there, and so I started talking to a couple of the patients, and they started talking about their experience. And it was my birthday. I was turning 75. So someone pinned some money on me. And I said, what are you doing that for? He said, you just watch. Just he put it on. Then everybody started putting money on. It was the best experience. So you know where I'm going to be for my 76th birthday. I'll go back. Give me some money and some knowledge and some good food and all of that. So that's where I am now. And I'm telling you, you will be so amazed at how many people are going to be so grateful that you survived. Your loved ones are going to be happy you survived. And your friends are going to want to know more about it. So the more you study and learn, you're going to end up being, all of you, little healers. And I like this thing that Dr. Montgomery is doing because he connects the stuff I learned from my grandmother. My grandmother was a healer, a midwife. Her mother was a healer and a midwife. This now I'm on the journey of just trying to make the food so delicious everybody wants some. So I got some things prepared for you, and I'm going to make it up real quick. First thing I'm going to do is make this strawberry pie that very often becomes breakfast for me. So what I've already done, because I figured we might need some time, is I took 8 dates and a cup and a half of walnuts, put it in my food processor, grind it up. It clumps together, and I can press it into a pie. So now a pie needs a fill. So what I have done is sliced up a whole bunch of delicious strawberries and fill the crust with the strawberries. So now, what do you suppose I need to do to hold that all together?
You said blueberries.
Yeah, this has no sugar. I don't add anything to it. Sometimes I'll add a little vanilla to the blueberries. So I take a whole thing of blueberries, and everything I say as organic as possible. In fact, I can't remember the last time I ate anything that wasn't.
And that was just a quick.
Just quick. And then you pour it on. It's going to gel all on its own. Mother Nature knows what it's doing. So I'll pop it into the refrigerator and let the gel do it.
I love that you're using the walnuts, because walnuts are high in omega-3, and
Yes,
it's an important nutrient for everybody.
I feel good when I eat this because it's so healthy.
Yeah.
No toxins, everyth's organic. So I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator and let it just kind of gel. The next thing I'm gonna do is make a pate. And I'm gonna tell you guys, a pate it will save your life. I took this picture. So I would make a pate. I had a lot of people over, so I set up all these salads. I made a pate and put in each one. You can adjust the taste of your pates. I think raw food is good for 3 to 5 days. So I'll make a pate, and in 3 days, I readjust the seasoning and add flax seeds to it and turn it into a patty. And I dehydrate it then. When eating dehydrated food, drink more water. So the next thing I'm going to do is make a pate for you. And here's some bell peppers. The recipe calls for shallots. And I tell you, I can't figure out the difference in a shallot and a green onion, except shallots are purple at the bottom, I think. But I can never find them in the store, so I end up doing this when I lived in Georgia. I could actually find the shallots. But here, we're just going to add a little sea salt. Isn't this so simple? And then I add the nuts.
And those are your walnuts, right?
My walnuts, and they have been soaked and dehydrated so that the enzyme inhibitors have been removed. I keep big jars of this sitting around. So then I'm going to put it in my food processor, and voila, we're going to have a pate. When I buy walnuts or any kind of nuts, like I have some sitting in here now that have not been cooked. So I can't eat these. They have to be soaked overnight, at least for 24 hours, drained, and then I dehydrate them for almost 2 days. And then I put them in a jar to use.
Okay.
So until then, it stays in the head. I was just going to put this in the food processor and but okay, so here's the pate. Now, you can do so much with this. You can, use it in wraps. I put some little chips aside, and you can eat it like that. And then, because my plate's just not quite looking pretty enough, I'll leave that till we come to the next part. So now I'm gonna make. Let me just give this a taste. It smells so good. It smells really.
You don't season it or anything?
That because the bell pepper, it tastes a little like salmon. It really does.
Really?
And it's the red bell pepper. I think that
It's a mock salmon pate.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
What type of seasoning did you use, Miss Joyce?
I think it's just salt, huh? Just salt.
Yes, sea salt.
Sea salt. And I use the gray sea salt. The Celtic sea salt. Yeah, I had 2 cups of walnut, 1 large scallion, which was the green onions because I couldn't find that, 1 whole red bell pepper, and a teaspoon of salt. And that's on my website too. I'm going to make you guys a raw potato salad. And I'm going to cheat just a little bit and use this little machine that I kind of really like. Sisters-in-law like, oh yeah.
Was that just onion you put in there?
Yeah,
Okay.
a quarter of an onion. And actually, this recipe came to me. I don't know where it came from, but it actually really does taste a lot like potato salad. So, but I'm hoping to train up somebody. I'm looking for a young lady to train in raw food. I recently took an assignment for $3,000 on board and transportation. And I kind of didn't really like that much, but it's some things you can do if you want to do it as a business. Right now, I'm just interested in teaching people. I'm adding more salt because I tasted it. And
Has that sea salt?
yeah, it's spray and it's wet when you buy it. It's a Celtic sea salt. And I believe it has 90-something minerals in it. The sea moss,
Iodine.
The sea moss.
Minerals.
yeah, it has more minerals than does that sea moss.
Does it really?
Yeah, and wheatgrass, we have 102 minerals. Wheatgrass has all of them. So from potato salad on my plate.
I'd like for you to also say something.
And think about how hearty that is. You know, it's so hearty. And what's beautiful, by and large, not always, but by and large, when we eat whole food plant-based, we don't have to count calories.
Thank you, guys. You guys
All right.
are doing.
Thank you so very much.
For doing
Thank
it,
you.
Joyce.
Thank you,
Everybody,
Miss Joyce.
thank you for being here. And everybody have a wonderful night.